Hi guys, welcome back to another video. This one is a behind the song of Fight song. And this is how we all need to fight our good fight and win the race of Jesus. As you can tell, yes, I have my Bible out for this behind the song of Fight song. So the further instructions comes out of Colossians. It's the very first section of that, and it's verses 2 through 6, and that is the further instructions that we need for this good fight. And before I read that, I want to go ahead and say we have a lot of fight in us still, and we need to make sure we fight the evil schemes of Satan, and we need to stand up tall and stand strong in the faith of Jesus. And it's something that we all need, and something that makes it very spiritual, so outgoing, something that keeps us on our feet for the readiness of Jesus. And that's what makes us who we are in each and every single way. So let's get into the behind the song of the Fight song. And this is what it actually comes from the Bible in this section right here. It says, "Devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful, and pray for us too, that God may open the doors for our message, so that we may proclaim the mysteries of Christ, for which I am in chains. Pray that I proclaim clearly as I should. Be wise in the way you act toward outsiders, and make the most of every opportunity. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone." Just let that soak in for a minute, and just be why the Fight song that is on YouTube, so make sure to check that. And this is behind the song of that, so make sure you watch that. And it's something that people can get lightly about, sort of things like that. And watching people grow up and stand tall, even by waking up on a new day, knowing there's more fight to give, more fight left in you, and still knowing, waking up every morning and putting that into practice is something that keeps us motivated and so energizing. So we're going to break apart all verses 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6. We're going to break those verses down in sections and talk about them. The first one that we're going to be talking about is verse 2. It says, "Devote yourselves to prayer and being watchful and thankful." So just make sure you're fully devoted yourself to prayer and always pray. And being watchful, pay close attention on those small details, and be thankful. You can be so much thankful for everything that you have in your life, and that is such easier. So devote yourselves always to prayer and being watchful and pay close attention, and always say thankful for your family, your friends, your coworkers, and so much more. The next verse is 3. "And pray for us too, that God may open the doors for the message, that we may proclaim the mysteries of Christ, for which I'm in chains." So how we're going to break up that verse, because it's a little bit longer than verse 2. So we always have to pray for us too, and that God can open the doors for our message that we are proclaiming to Him. We may also proclaim the mysteries of Christ that is clearly out of the open for us to be bounded. So when we say bounded, it means for which I am in chains. We're bound in chains, we're locked away. But when you break those chains, you're set free, you can run freely, and you get to just enjoy the glorious part of that. And verse 4 is very short and simple. It says, pray, make sure I got it right. Pray that I may proclaim it clearly as I should. We are all devoted in prayer, but pray toward outsiders in this world, but make the most of every pray that we may proclaim it clearly as we should, when we need to let that be something so evident and so good to hear. Now, not 6, sorry, I was supposed to say verse 5. Just bear with me. No, so verse 5 says, be wise in the way you act. Be wise in the way you act toward outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity. So you always stay connected by the word by being wise in the way you act toward the outsiders. Because if you don't act selfishly, that can get confusing sometimes. But when you act toward outsiders, you have to make the most of everything. And so the last part of that verse saying the same thing. Make it most of every opportunity. Every opportunity is making us stronger every day, and rooted in the ground from above, and letting that just stand out. Our last verse is 6. Let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. So, the first part of 6 says, let your conversation be always full of grace. So sincere, so tender, so much of feelings, and always being that. And the second part of that says, season it with salt. That's a little weird. If you have salt and shakers, those little salt and shakers, it's referring to the salt, the season of the salt. And you need to have that sweetness of the salt so we can all be sweet at the same time. Does that make sense? I think it does. So anyway, so at the end of verse 6 says, so that you may know how to answer everyone. There we go. Sorry about that. So the ending of verse 6 kind of gives us what we need. And when I say that is, why do you say that, Michaela? The reason I'm saying that is because the reason I'm saying that is because it says, so that you may know how to answer everyone. How do you respond to people that hurts you, makes you feel betrayed, feels filled void? I think you know how to answer. Answer always in love. That's the only way you could do it. So, that's the behind the song, fight song. I really want you guys to watch this song. It's very inspiring, so inspirational, and so a challenging song to sing, but it's original, so you guys have to try it out for yourself and listen to it. And before we wrap up to a close, I'm going to read all 6 verses real quick to wrap it up for the behind the song. And this is the behind the song of Fight Song, and I'm going to read it one more time, verse 2 through 6, and yeah, to wrap it up. Devote yourselves to prayer, being watchful and thankful, and pray for us unto that the God who opens the door for a message, that we may proclaim the mysteries of Christ, for which I am chained. Pray that I proclaim it clearly as I should. Be wise in the way you act toward outsiders. Make the most of every opportunity, and let your conversation be always full of grace, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how to answer everyone. That is the behind the song, Fight Song, and I hope you wish the best. Enjoy. Bye.